Season 2. Today, I'm your host, Eric, with my main man over there, Ron. How are you tonight?
Outside of camera problems, I'm doing pretty well.
All right, great, because the sports world is all over the place this week, and it's probably going to be one of our most intense shows I think we've had in quite some time. So I'm looking forward to it. So we're going to start off right off with the leadoff story, and that would be the Brian Flurry story of him filing a lawsuit against the NFL and three teams, the teams being the New York Giants, the Denver Broncos, and the Miami Dolphins. So Flores has claimed that the racial discrimination during the hiring and firing process with these teams has, obviously been an issue. This has seemed to have started with a text message sent by Bill Belichick congratulating him after it was believed that he had gotten the Giants job. So obviously Bill Belichick sent it to the wrong Brian. He meant to send it to Brian Dable. So, there's a lot to unfold here.
Literally.
Realistically, let's just start off with the basic fact of, do you believe Brian Flores has a ground to stand on?
I sure hope he does. Because, look, it is no secret what's been going on. We all know that all these owners are preferring coaches of, we'll just say, their color. Look, it's an obvious thing right now, especially with the Giants, hiring the ball. He was hired basically before Flores even got an interview.
So there's some as the story starts to gain some momentum and things are being said and found out, I'm starting to change my aspect on the fact that I don't know if I would truly say it was a racially based reason he didn't get the job. But in saying that, I feel like the NFL has to improve the transparency when it comes to hiring and firing of a coach, which is one of the things that Brian Flores has stated himself. To me, these owners have no skin in the game when it comes to firing or hiring a coach. When it comes to the fans are the ones who put the money in the seats, who honestly follow these teams, and yet we have no idea of why you pick a certain coach or fire a certain coach. I feel the owners need to explain it to the fans as to why you would fire someone and why you're hiring someone. Brian Flores deserved to know why he got terminated. The Miami Dolphin fans deserve to know why Brian Flores got terminated. And whichever coach they bring in, they should have an idea of why they brought that coach in. We'll never get those answers.
And I agree with that as well. But, when you set your schedule for interviews and basically the ball got the job.
Dable, yeah.
Dable, whatever his name is.
Yeah, supposedly.
That was an obvious thing.
But the thing was, too, that the job wasn't officially offered before Brian Flores' interview.
Yeah, but how does Belichick know that he's getting the job? You know what I mean? That this all smells.
So yeah,
it all smells.
So the thing is, though, Brian Flores also has to realize that at the end of the day, he's committing career suicide, and I don't think that's correct. He's a very good coach who deserves another opportunity. But I also feel like he's starting to make this more personal than anything else. So now he's attacking Bill Belichick and saying that Belichick's part of backdoor deals and that Belichick had a hand in Dable getting the job and him not getting the job. And I'm starting to question where Flores is going with everything that he's pursuing. Listen, at the end of the day, Bill Belichick made a mistake, text the wrong Brian. Do I feel the New York Giants are listening to Bill Belichick on who they should hire as a coach? No, especially after Joe Judge and that coaching fiasco that just recently happened with the Giants. But both of these men were on Bill Belichick's staff. So it makes sense why the New York Giants would talk to Bill Belichick. Brian Daboll was with New England before he went to Buffalo. And Brian Flores, obviously, we know, was with Bill Belichick for almost 15 years. So it makes sense why they would talk to them and ask a question. Could they have said something like, hey, I really think Brian Daboll might be the guy? Yeah.
But also, Eric, like, if you look at this, like, look, this is all the coaches hired so far.
Yep. All white.
You know? They're all white.
Yeah.
And it just seems like guys like Eric Bieniemy,
who's now
Bowles,
he's interviewing for the Saints job, and Brian Flores is up for the Saints job.
Right.
Todd Bowles, you're correct, hasn't gotten an interview.
You know, look, there's so many capable coaches, and 100%. Some of these coaching hirings, it just leads you to wonder, and you scratch your head and like, how are they hiring this guy?
Yeah.
And they're passing up those 4 coaches.
Yeah.
Like, we had this conversation when, all the coaches were fired. And we thought Flores was probably going to be the first one sought after.
Absolutely agree.
And he should have been.
Yes.
To be honest.
Yes.
And, and then we talked about Jacksonville specifically, who apparently has had one black coach on their staff for, I think it was like for 2 days or 2 weeks or something like that, total of their whole franchise history. 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's deplorable.
Yeah, agreed.
And to be honest, I'm sorry. They're all touting Doug Peterson as, he's great with quarterbacks. He created Carson Wentz. Really? Are you kidding me?
And honestly, won a Super Bowl without Wentz because Wentz wasn't good enough to get to the Super Bowl.
So
obviously with the injury.
The guy for that job should have been Byron Leftwich.
Agree.
Quarterback.
Well, Byron
quarterback.
Yeah, but see, this is the point too, that Byron Leftwich decided not to take.
He did not want it
because of the general manager. So again, there's
right, but this all came out because of all. This is all happening. So, it's like a giant snowball.
So one of the things I heard today, and it made a lot of sense in one of the local sports area radio shows as I was listening to it. One of them said, "Listen, maybe if you had more black owners, more black general managers, you'd see more coaches, head coaches that are black." And then he said, well, if you look at, there's 7 general managers right now that are African American. They all had job positions in the last few years. 5 out of the 7 hired white coaches. Head coaches. So again, what's the issue? I don't know. It could be the owners saying, I don't want this particular person.
Right.
We don't know.
And that's the problem. There is nothing to physically show why teams make decisions.
Exactly.
And that needs to change.
Thank you.
That needs to change.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of things that need to change. And I'm sorry. I still think the Giants should be penalized for their coaching debacle. Whether they made that choice or not, it still got out there. And they still should be penalized for it.
And again, listen, we'll end it on this because we've got so much to cover. But I will say this. At some point, the Rooney Rule isn't working.
No, it's not.
The league needs to make sure there's transparency. If these owners who are listen, the Denver Broncos are going up for sale right now.
Yeah.
And they are legitimately saying $4 billion, which would be like a record all time for a team. I understand. If I spent $4 billion of my money, I'm going to hire whoever I want, and you're not going to tell me who to hire. But what I would say is this. Go ahead.
No, let me ask you this about the Denver Broncos.
Yeah.
Do you believe Flores when he said that Elway and them came in, kind of hungover from the day before.
I don't know. So again, you're talking West Coast to East Coast.
Right. You can't.
3
There's
hour
nothing
time
that can prove
difference.
it.
7:30 in the morning.
Right.
To them, it's 4:00. Could they have been exhausted, jet lagged? I don't know.
Yeah.
If they were there the night before, maybe you could say that. Again, it's all interpretation. And
Right.
that's Flores' interpretation. John Elway's obviously come out and said, absolutely not.
Yeah, there's no way that shouldn't even have been brought up because there's
Exactly.
no way you can prove that. So that should have been left off the table, to be honest.
So again, to me, Flores has a point of transparency. Listen, proving racism is not going to be an easy task because again, there are some black coaches but transparency. So whoever buys the Denver Broncos has every right to decide who's going to be their head coach.
Right.
I understand that. You spent $4 billion. You're not going to tell me who I have to sign as a head coach. What I would say is they should have at least transparency to say why they pick certain coaches for what reason. And then to me, it makes sense. Why was Brian Flores not hired for the Giants job? We don't know. We have no idea.
And that's something that needs to be disclosed as well. And
these owners, if you're going to have that money and that power and own those teams, then you should step up and be responsible to tell the fans why you decided to go in the direction you go. So when it fails, at least the fans understand what you were trying to get to.
The other thing is with Miami. Now, the lawyers said that they have, some sort of proof about, him telling Flores to lose, and he'll give him $100,000 per loss.
If they have that, absolutely.
If they have proof, then that's where change can happen. Is right there in Miami, because if that's true, he should be removed.
Stephen Ross needs to. If that is true and they have proof of that, absolutely. If this league is smart, they get rid of him.
Right.
And the issue it becomes though, the commissioner is paid by the owners.
Right. And this is the whole problem.
That's where the problem lies. At the end of the day, that's where the problem lies. Because he's not going to do what's best for the league and these teams and these coaches. Right. He's going to do what's best for the owners. So until there's transparency, which again I don't think will ever happen, we're going to continue to see this. And Dan, I'm not saying there isn't racism, and I don't want it to seem like I'm downplaying that piece of it, because I'm not. There very well could be. What I'm saying to you is though that it's harder to prove.
It's hard to prove
because they can fire any coach for any reason, and we've seen white coaches get fired. And listen, we talked about Bisaccia from the Raiders and what a great job he did in the situation that he was in, and that team didn't hold on to him. For what reason? We don't know, and we don't know what reason. But again, he wasn't African American. They don't have to give a reason.
Yeah.
And that to me makes no sense whatsoever. But let's move on, because we could talk about this for an hour.
Yeah, well,
and there's a lot to cover. So let's bring up the gentleman on the screen and let's talk about the retirement. So Tom Brady has decided to call it quits after 22 years in the NFL. We could sit here for about 30 minutes talking about all his accolades. But 243 wins, 73 losses in his career, 84,520 yards passing, 624 touchdowns, 203 interceptions. So you think about that margin. I mean, over 400 more touchdowns than interceptions. 35-12 in his playoff career. Amazing. 15-time Pro Bowler, 7-time Super Bowl champion, 3-time MVP. Obviously, 20 years with the New England Patriots, us being Patriot fans, the joy he brought us, the one championship he brought to Tampa Bay. How surprised were you with the retirement announcement at this point?
I thought it was a surprise, to be honest with you. I thought he was just too competitive. I didn't think he'd do it.
And we had done our pick and roll.
Yep.
And I had told you
Yep.
that you were going to see this was going to be the end for Tom Brady. And I'm going to explain to you why. Tom Brady understands the fact that he is considered the greatest of all time. He went out on top as the number one passing yards leader this year in the NFL and number one touchdown leader in the NFL. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I told you, are going to have a drastic change. They're losing Fournette.
Right.
They're losing Godwin. Grunk's probably going to retire as well.
Well, yeah, he's definitely retired.
Right? They're going to lose guys on the defensive side of the ball. So Tom Brady doesn't want to go team to team now. He could easily have gone to San Francisco or tried the Raiders and said, with Josh McDaniels and try to give that a go. The only team that he went to when he left New England was a team that he knew was surefire, ready to get to a Super Bowl. I don't think he has those same options. And he didn't want to go down that road of people are going to start to say he declines if he doesn't have another solid year. He went out on top. He did it. Even though he didn't win a Super Bowl, he went out as the greatest quarterback this year when it comes to passing and touchdowns. So he's still considered the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
It's just a shame. Like you said, it's shocking. When it finally got announced, you were still like sitting there thinking, like, is this real? Am I dreaming? And even during the retirement, there was a question of, did he retire? Didn't he retire? His dad came out and said he wasn't retiring, right? So there's so many different things going on. I think in the back of his mind, he wasn't even sure that when that got announced, if he really wanted to retire or not. So there was some lingering for him as well. But goes out on top, greatest quarterback of all time, 7-time Super Bowl champion.
I think the best football player of all time.
All time. And we're going to do a pick and roll tonight. And that pick and roll was by far the hardest one I've ever done.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm not even sure I have where I want it.
Everything I did, I doubted. But let's talk about another serious situation that's going on in the NFL currently. And this is the Washington Commanders, which is now their new name. Owner Dan Snyder has been accused of sexual harassment by a former employee. During the congressional roundtable, Tiffany Johnston claims that she was strategically placed next to Mr. Snyder during a dinner meeting, not for business, but to allow him to have his hand on his thigh under the table during the dinner. Snyder has come back and said that he's denying all the claims, and basically how he put it, and this is what really upset me. While past conduct at the team was unacceptable, the allegations leveled against me personally in today's roundtable, many of which were over 13 years old, are outright lies. I unequivocally deny having participated in any such conduct at any time with respect to any person. And what bothered me about that statement, does it matter if it was 13 years ago or 13 minutes ago?
Yeah.
So here he goes trying to wipe it on the table.
But again, this is a statement released by an owner, and they all sound like carbon copies of each other. False claims, false this, false that. Look, we know what's going on, but yet these guys are getting away with it because they're billionaires.
And so this is where the NFL has finally dropped the ball. They covered up these emails. They fired John Gruden, and it's going to come out that there was stuff out there that they were aware of that they didn't release.
Oh yeah, because Gruden's going to be all over this. Yeah,
this was a behavior that was happening for some time. Is a model commander? Yes, he's a model commander. All right. Yeah. Not only was this about the dinner meeting, there's also allegations that there was a picture of her in lingerie that they did for the team calendar that I guess he had asked them to alter and so he could have posted up in his office. Listen, this organization has been, in the best word Brian Flores used, a sham, because they can try anything to put a woman in a high position and run in
nothing but despicable behavior from day one with Snyder. Day one.
The fact that the NFL covered it up, Roger Goodell covered it up.
Yep. It's
going to come out, and he deserves everything he gets, because where there's smoke, there's fire. We've said it on this show many a time.
Yep.
And guess what? This is a forest fire. This thing's burning out of control.
Yeah.
And
I think it's going to hit a lot of franchises too.
yeah, and the funny thing is, and I'd love to hear the lawyer for Dan Snyder, that she claims that the lawyer basically he was trying to push her into the limo, and he's like, I don't think this is a good idea. Like, stop, Dan, this is not a good idea. What was his intention with that?
Yeah.
And where was that heading? That your lawyer had to basically say, bro, like, that's it, buddy. That's it. That's enough.
Right. Yeah.
This guy should be banned from the NFL. They need to sell that team to somebody else that honestly has some respect for the game, for females, for actually not even just for females, for all employees. And he's clearly not that owner.
Yeah. No, he's clearly not.
Disgusting.
Look, there's a problem with a few owners out there, and we're just hitting the tip of that iceberg, and this iceberg is going to be bigger than the one that sank Titanic. You watch.
And listen, I hope so. If this guy gets out of this now, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Because he clearly, that team organization has had a problem for years, and there's no way that there's not stuff out there for it.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
It is.
You know what? I don't even want to talk about him ever again. He needs to go away. He uses FedEx for his old. So I don't even know what that means, Dan. But I know the FedEx. Yeah, I don't know. Ron, let's go on our triple play. Let's just talk some sports right now, because that's what we need to do. All these stories out of the NFL, ridiculous.
And don't forget the Jerry Jones comment about coaches.
Yeah, another one. Another idiot. Listen,
He's
let's
terrible.
make a promise, Ron. When Sports Unfolded takes off and we're billionaires, we don't act like these jerks.
Oh no,
I just don't understand it. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to people, but this has got to stop. Just because you have money and you think you're in power doesn't mean you can treat people like that or have those thoughts. Period.
It runs rampant.
They're all 32 billionaires.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
All right. So basically, our triple play tonight is going to be there's obviously a Super Bowl that's going to be happening, Super Bowl 56. We're going to decide which of these three wide receivers we would start, bench, and cut. And they're all three star wide receivers in that game. And they're going to be Jamar Chase, Odell Beckham Jr., and Cooper Kupp. So who we start and who we bench and who we cut. And you're up first this week, my friend. Have at it.
This is kind of easy.
Easy one? Okay.
This is an easy one. First, I'm starting Cooper Kupp. I mean, this guy got the triple crown this year.
Triple crown in football. Look at him.
You know, receptions, yards, touchdowns. There was no better receiver than Cooper Kupp this year. Over 2,000 yards. Look,
amazing.
The numbers
Unreal.
are better
Off
than
the
anybody's.
Off the chart.
So, to me, that was the easy decision, starting Cooper Kupp. Then, the tougher decision is what to do with these two guys. And I absolutely, without a doubt, would bench Chase. And I would cut Beckham. Look, I know Beckham's played well since he's been in the Rams organization. Obviously, it wasn't him that was the reason for the failures in Cleveland.
Yeah.
But he still has a consistency problem. So with Chase, there's no problem there. Like, he's clearly probably top 3 receivers in the league at this point.
Yeah,
I
agree with that.
He's definitely behind Cooper Kupp. So that's where I would have it. I'd bench Beckham.
All right.
I mean, bench Chase and cut Beckham.
All right. So here's where you're wrong.
I'm not wrong. There's no way I'm wrong.
You're
the
wrong.
numbers show it.
Triple play, my friend, and I broke it down.
Yeah,
I went all
break
out
it down all you want.
So I went by career average.
Oh, here we go.
And so Jamar Chase is my starter. You know why? Because he's played in one season, 81 receptions,
Nope.
1,455 yards, 13 touchdowns.
He still wasn't as good as Cooper Kupp this year.
Cooper
The numbers show it. And
Okay,
all that matters is this year.
Hold on.
This year is all that matters.
You had your time, my friend. You had your time.
Yeah,
so,
I'm right.
Cooper Kupp would be on my bench because in 5 years, he averaged 86 receptions, 1,103 yards, and 8 touchdowns. So 5 more touchdowns for Chase, 300 more yards, only 5 less receptions.
Who was his quarterback before this year?
I don't care.
That matters.
I don't care.
That matters.
So you could say the same thing about Beckham. Beckham had not very good quarterbacks.
That's
Daniel
why
Jones?
I only based it off of this.
Daniel Jones?
Him being on the Rams. I only based it on being on the
I
Rams.
agree with you on cutting Odell Beckham Jr., but here's why. In 8 seasons, he averages 66 receptions, 920 yards, and 7 touchdowns. So in 8 years, if you look at his numbers, on average, not very good. But Jamar Chase, those numbers, if that's going to be his career averages, he's much better than the two of them.
No,
Hence, I win
Kupp
again.
is the better. No, Kupp is the better receiver this year.
Beckham needs
You
to
are
manage
absolutely wrong.
Dan.
You just can't accept the fact that you're wrong all the time.
I'm wrong. That was completely right.
No,
Cooper
you're
Kupp,
not.
Numbers don't average out to what
It
Jamar
doesn't
Chase
matter
is.
what the average is. We're talking
is,
about
of
this
course.
year in the Super Bowl.
That's your call.
Okay, you cannot blame
I would
Cooper
still start
Kupp.
Jamar over there.
You can't
Jamar
blame
then.
Cooper Kupp for having a crappy quarterback previous of this season.
He still averaged 86 receptions in 1,100 yards.
Yeah, that
With
just
Jared
tells you
Goff.
how good he was.
Who Kenny said was
with Goff.
and Goff's going to the Hall of Fame, according to Kenny. So guess what?
Yeah. Okay.
All right, my friend. NBA. Let's talk some basketball. So the NBA announced its reserves for the 2022 All-Star Game, and we're going to break down some of these players here. So in the Western Conference, Luka Doncic, Rudy Gobert, Draymond Green, Devin Mitchell, Chris Paul, Karl Anthony Towns. Good team.
It is a good team.
I like it.
Skeptical on a couple of players.
Which one?
Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell, 25.5 points a game, 5.2 assists, 4 rebounds a game.
Okay.
Good numbers.
Yeah.
25 points a game. Pretty good.
Who was the one before that?
Draymond Green, which I would kind of question.
Yeah, I was
7.9 points, 7.6 assists, 7.4 7.6 rebounds, 7.6.
Yeah.
So he's got
doesn't belong there.
but the points, to me, he's not that scorer.
No. But still, the other two numbers aren't good enough to compensate for the scoring.
Yeah.
So Draymond Green Wow, I can't talk today. Draymond Green should not be in the All-Star game.
Yeah. So again, agree with you. So let's look at the Eastern Conference. Eastern Conference, you had Darius Garland, James Harden, Zach LaVine, Chris Middleton, Jason Tatum, and Fred VanVleet. What do you think?
What's Vliet's numbers?
21.5 points a game, 7 assists, 4.7 rebounds.
Yeah, he
Not
belongs there. Yeah, he
Pretty good.
belongs there.
Pretty good.
Maybe
You got
maybe they have the wrong buck.
You got a fan tonight.
Yeah, I have fans every night.
Dan is on it. Dan is on it. Chris Middleton, 19.6 points, 5.6 rebounds, 5.2 assists a game.
Yeah. I mean,
Not
look,
bad.
it's good, but I don't know. There's some players out there that should be in this.
It's tough. It's a tough call.
It is.
We talked about last week when they named the starter Zach LaVine, so he got in. We talked about Chris Paul. He got in. Tatum, honestly, his numbers are there, so I understood why they did it.
Yeah, I don't. I
so-
don't question with his numbers. I don't know. I think if I really looked at the league, and like the leaders for scoring and assists and boards, I think there's other qualified players that are ahead of some of these guys that are getting in, and It's hard because it's all subjective of you know who they're playing, when
Yeah,
they're playing, and
listen. Chris Middleton, again, defending champions. I could see why they kind of just put him in. Darius Garland, good numbers, solid. I'm not saying he
yeah,
doesn't deserve to be there, but again, it's in Cleveland. They wanted to make sure they got a Cleveland Cavalier. He's obviously the best
yeah. I
one on
think
the
he
team,
deserved to be
so
in
he
there. To be
deserves it.
honest with you,
You know the shocking part when I started to look at this, and I broke it down by how many times they've been an All-Star. Karl Anthony Towns has been an All-Star 9 times.
really?
Like I didn't realize, like you know what I mean? Like he's been around for some time now. 9 times he's been named an All-Star. It's he's one of those guys. Like I think he's underappreciated because he's in Minnesota and they haven't been very good, and he's always been rumored for trade talks and in college. Like they need to get this guy on a team that honestly he could have an impact and be one of those guys. He's averaging 24.4 points, 9.5 rebounds, and 3.9 assists. Very good numbers. Again, 9 years as an all-star, and you would never know it.
No, and that's the another point I was about to make too, Eric. It's like, there are players that probably deserve more credit than what they're getting because we don't see them all the time. Because let's face it, there aren't many nationally televised Minnesota games. There's not many national televised Cleveland games, and places like that have a hard time, getting these guys recognized. Sacramento, another team that doesn't get a lot of national press, and so they can be easily overlooked, and that's unfortunate.
I know how excited you're going to be. So, Team LeBron, right now, LeBron's out. Team Durant's out. So the two captains might not even play.
So
there it is. I knew I could get you fired up.
So the two men that are the all-star selections aren't even playing.
No.
And they're picking the team. Please, just do away with that. Do away with it. I don't want to. I hate it. Because of this fact. Because it's just dumb.
Always watch the Pro Bowl. Can't even sack the quarterback.
No, there's three things I won't be watching: the NHL All-Star Game,
the
Pro Bowl,
and the All-Star
and the NBA All-Star Game.
I love it. I won't
be watching them.
So if you enjoy what you're watching, check us out every Friday night at 6 p.m. on Rhode Island Broadcasting. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. We are fan interactive. If you join us and you're responding like my man Dan tonight, we will definitely respond back.
Dan's on fire.
Follow us at Sports Unfolded on Facebook and Twitter, at Broadcasting RI on Twitter, Sports_Unfolded on Instagram, TikTok, T-Smooth73, podcast, Amazon, Anchor, Google, and Spotify. So many different ways to watch, listen. If you're in Southeast Connecticut, SEC TV, Public Access Channel 12. We do a rebroadcast of this show on Friday nights at 10 p.m. on Tuesdays. Again, Public Access Channel 12, SEC TV. And we have just joined a new social media group, Jibber Jabber. Check it out. It's starting to take off. It's very new. It's in its infant stages, but we're excited about being a part of that as well. So hopefully that catches on and continues to grow as well. So check that out, Jibber Jabber. And that's JJ BBER Jabber.
Oh, certainly.
Jibber Jabber. All right, my friend. So we are going to move on to a story that I thought was really just a nice, good story. We're going to bring up the young lady here, and that's Danielle Goyette. So she's going to make history when she is the first woman to act as an assistant coach in the ECHL Hockey League for the Newfoundland Growlers. So their head coach came down with COVID. Obviously, through the protocols, he's out. Danielle has decided to step in and be the team's assistant coach during that period. Just a great story. I'm proud to see that the NHL is starting to make strides in this area as well. The NBA has had several assistant female coaches now. Hopefully, this starts to correlate
and a referee.
right? Becoming head coaches, though. Like we're getting there. It's so close to me. Becky Hammonds, who's a great assistant coach on the Spurs, took a WNBA job, but she deserves an NBA job. And hopefully, at some point, these things that are starting to happen, hopefully, will start to make people see that they deserve an opportunity as well.
I want to add something to the fact of the NBA. Okay, we've had a lot of discussion about the NFL.
Yep.
This is where the NBA was way ahead of everybody else with black coaches, women. They're way ahead of everybody else on that.
Yeah,
and I gotta give the NBA credit.
Yeah,
I gotta give them a lot of credit for this.
They are trying to be more diverse, and you could see it. And now the NHL
the NHL
is starting to follow suit, which is good. This is what we need to see. And I even know in the NFL they have some conditioning coaches and things like that now that are female. So it's great to see. Listen, at the end of the day, if you can do the job, it doesn't matter if you're black, white, female, right?
Absolutely.
Any of these, if you can do the job, you deserve that job. Hopefully the world starts to change and see that, and these leagues start to change it. But some great points. I thought that was a great story. I wanted to make sure we included that tonight.
Absolutely. I was happy that you did.
So we are going to do our face-off, and we're going to attempt to do this this timer again, my friend. And we'll see how this goes. But so our face-off tonight.
Yeah, what is
it? Help if I share it. Our face-off tonight is going to be about Bill Belichick, and did Bill Belichick make the right call on getting rid of Tom Brady when he did? So we got 2 minutes coming up on the clock. Ron's going to bring that up. And Ron, you are first. So was Bill Belichick correct in making that decision? You pick if you're for or against.
I'm going to pick for.
All right.
I think he did pick the right decision. Because if you look at the timeline, yes, they might have had one more Super Bowl run in them. Maybe, because they did not have a good team last year.
Okay.
Then you also look at the fact, okay, so they picked up and drafted Mac Jones this past season.
Yeah.
If they had Tom Brady, that probably would have never happened. And then Tom Brady retires this year, and then you're left with picking what from the draft coming up? Absolutely nothing. They would have been in total shambles without a quarterback this next season, because, if Tom Brady leaves and then you don't have that Mac Jones now, so then you have no quarterback, no future, and you have to go out.
That's why I'm against it. So I'm going to tell you right now, the opportunity to win 2 more Super Bowls has passed Bill Belichick by. So with Tom Brady, you had a much better chance of getting back to the Super Bowl and winning. What is the record from team wins in the Super Bowl? 6. We're tied with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We had an opportunity to beat that with Tom Brady.
But Belichick might have that opportunity again soon,
he
too.
May, but guess what? It was a surefire that Tom Brady's getting you to the playoffs, which means anything can happen once you get in the playoffs. And if you would develop the amount of talent that Bill Belichick picked up this year with Tom Brady, that team goes to the Super Bowl. Unfortunately,
but would he do it? You can't say he would have done it. That's the thing. We don't know if Bill Belichick would have pulled the trigger on all of that, because he didn't have to pay for Tom Brady.
Tom Brady needed to be and end his career as a New England Patriot.
He should have. But wow, that's loud.
That is the time, my friend. So clearly I won that, Dan.
You did not win again. You did not win.
This discussion is not of any value, he said. Wow.
Yeah, that's my thoughts too. It was a stupid argument.
Why? Because the losers think that way.
No.
Ron?
You keep touting that you win, but everybody knows the facts.
Nobody agrees with you. Listen.
No, they all do.
Listen.
Who won that, Dan?
Listen. this is the hardest pick and roll ever. And every time I say we're not going to get any harder, this was the hardest pick and roll we've ever done. Because as I did it, I still to this point would not. I want to change everything.
I feel the same way.
And I talked to my wife while I was when I was done, and she's like, "You got to make changes. You did it wrong." Even my wife doesn't agree with me that I did this correctly. I don't think I agree with me that I did it correctly. I am just glad that you go first this week with this. So our pick and roll, we are going to rank these all-time greats since the Tom Brady. You got this, Eric. Thank you, Dan. The all-time greats in the last 30 years. So we wanted to try to condense it a little bit. Not the all-time greats all time. All-time greats last 30 years. With Tom Brady retiring, we said...
I thought we agreed from 1980s.
1980. So 30 plus years, 40 years. 40 years. You're correct. My math was wrong. 40 years. In the last 40 years. But we came up with this. Tom Brady. Michael Jordan. Tiger Woods. Wayne Gretzky, Serena Williams, and Derek Jeter. So all top greats in their sport, and we're going to rank them 6-1, 6 being the least greatest to 1 being the greatest. Ron, have at it.
Okay, so my list is as of this moment. Ask me 5 minutes. 5 minutes from now,
it could
be different.
I agree.
All right. So my thought process was this. What player dominates his league or her league
more than any other,
and at a greater margin, than the peers around them?
Oh, by the way, Dan said we tied that one. No value. That was a tie. All right.
So number 6.
Jester sucks. I think you meant Jeter, but go
ahead. Number 6, I put Derek Jeter. For the simple reason, look, the championships are awesome. I love the player, not that jersey, but I love the player.
Yep, understand.
And this is not a knock against him, but he was not the best player of his generation.
Okay.
Now, as a whole, from the 80s and up, I would say he probably is because of those championships, and I don't think anybody's matched that. So I give him that. And out of all those players through all time, is he going to be the guy that you start your team with? Probably not. But the championships speak for itself, and he belongs on this list. Let me tell you, because we talked about it, and I agree that he should be the one on this
representing baseball at this point. Yes,
and being number 6 is no slouch because he's ahead of everybody else.
Yep.
Number 5, and I'm still not sure I even agree with this, but I have Tiger Woods. Look, 15 majors, right?
15 majors, second all time with Jack.
Yeah, 81 is it?
82 tied with to Sam Snead for the all time.
Right, like it's ridiculous numbers, right? But with him, he's clearly the best of his generation. That I don't doubt. But he's not so far ahead of some of those others that are in there that it's just a huge gap. And, so that's why I put him at number 5.
Number 5, Tiger Woods. He's going to cry. Don't cry, Ron. You got this.
No, I can't even believe who I'm putting at number 4.
Number 4. It's got to be hockey. There it is.
Michael Jordan.
What? Wow.
Look.
I can't. This we should just stop now.
Look, 6 championships. I get it. When I started this, I thought he was going to be number 1 or at least number 2. But again, he is clearly the best to play. in all that time.
Okay.
But he's not so far ahead, and I can't even believe I'm saying that. He's not so far ahead of stat-wise. Look, I know the skill level is off the charts. I know that.
Okay.
But he's not, like, when you put the stats there, he's clearly better. But, you know, when you're outdoing some of those players by like a point or two, it's not as big of a gap.
Okay. Michael Jordan, number 4.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Go figure. This like, ask me, another 5 minutes.
Okay.
All right. Now I can't believe I'm putting this guy at number 3. Tom Brady.
What is wrong with your list right now? Let me. Hey, I'm going to ask you this before you keep going. Did you have more whiskey dogs?
No, not yet.
Because that would make more sense than what you're doing right now.
No, I put Tom at number 3.
What are we doing? Yeah.
I put Tom at number 3.
Tom Brady, the 3rd best. Okay.
Right. And look, I know the Super Bowls.
Can we mute you if Wayne Gretzky is number 1? Go ahead. Continue. Go ahead.
Stop it. So the stats are there. Look,
Tom Brady, yeah.
Every season, there's what? How many times has he been MVP?
Tom Brady?
3?
3-time MVP.
Right.
Of the league, yes.
The numbers are, comparable to the other quarterbacks. Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers. They're comparable. All the numbers throughout the season is comparable except for the championships.
7 championships, which you weigh very, and any other list you weigh very heavily. But now,
I'm trying to figure out how.
And I agree with Dan. There's you got the low pressure system coming in here in New England, and I think it's affecting you. But go ahead, number
2.
Number 2. No, you're on number 3.
No,
right?
I just did Tom Brady.
Tom Brady was 3. Okay. Number 2.
I have a problem with these 2.
So you have Gretzky and Serena Williams left. Okay.
And the reason why I'm having a difficult problem is because you look at 2 people that completely dominates their sport. Completely. It's not even close.
Not even close.
Not even close.
Not even close.
Wayne Gretzky, I'm just going to give the numbers first.
Okay.
He is the only player to ever score 200 points in a season. He's done it 4 times. Okay. He has more assists than anyone has total points. And that includes Mario Lemieux, Jaromir Jagr, Gary Curry, Messi, all of them.
Yep.
More than all of them.
Yep.
He currently is the all-time goal-scoring leader. That might not hold up, but that doesn't matter at this point. When he played, he was the best player by, 50, 60 points?
I can't spell Gretzky.
Every season. Every season.
Yeah, he's dominant.
It was not close.
Not even close. I agree with you. I'm here.
Now, Serena.
Mm-hmm.
How many years did she spend at number 1?
Dominated. Her numbers are through the roof.
Yeah, 39 Grand Slams.
23.
Really?
23. 23, she's all time, though. She is the number 1 in Grand Slams.
I thought it was more than that.
No, 23, but she is the greatest. She is by far the highest.
Yeah, well, this is what
time.
I'm saying. There's nobody close. There's nobody close.
Putin come in, Dan.
She just dominates. There's no better tennis player ever.
I feel like you're stalling. Can you give me a 1? Number 2? A number 2? Number 2?
I'm putting them both at number 1.
You can. What a cheap move that was.
And because I cannot decide which one is
you've ever done.
I can't decide which one's better.
So listen, clearly your list wrong, as usual.
It's not wrong. It's not wrong. Those two dominated their sport like no one else has ever done.
I'm going to give it to you. You ready? You're ready.
Number six. Jeter.
Number 6.
If you had anybody but Jeter there, you should be ashamed of yourself.
I'm going to say it, and it's going to hurt me. Derek Jeter at number 6. 310 batting average, 3,465 hits, 260 home runs, 1,300 RBIs. Agree with you. Rookie of the year, 14 All-Stars.
Yep.
5 World Series champions, 5 Gold Gloves, 5 Silver Sluggers. Was a one-time World Series MVP. But again, numbers. I mean, they're not. There's guys far better numbers, or have hit more home runs, more RBIs, done better batting averages. So again, I agree with you. The championships
it's the compete level.
Yeah, the championships hold weight to put them on this list. But I agree with you at number 6. At number 5, agreed with you, Tiger Woods. 82 PGA Tour wins. He's tied right now with Sam Snead. Could possibly beat that. You never know. Eric is a winner by a knockout. Thank you, sir. 15 majors, so it's second to Jack.
Yeah.
142 consecutive matches without missing a cut. The previous was 113, so he beat that by almost 30.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. 68.17, his lowest actual score in a PGA Tour in 2000, which ended up passing Nelson. So again, great numbers.
Yeah.
First in a lot of categories. But the fact that he didn't get that majors, I think I kind of put him there. And then he's still tied for the wins. He may not beat it. So he wasn't the greatest winner of all time in golf history. Number 4. And again, it pains me, but it was, you're right. Serena Williams.
This is hard. There's no wrong
the hardest
answers.
One we've done. Serena Williams. 855 wins, 152 losses, 73 singles titles.
Yep.
23 Grand Slams, $94 million won earnings.
Jesus.
In her career. Ridiculous. Like her numbers. Like she dominated the sport.
And that's that's not even counting sponsors.
Yeah.
That's just
dominated the sport. That's just winning the tournament.
She was like number 1 for 8, 9 years?
Yeah, it was ridiculous. So I could see number 3. And this one was tough because when you realize this individual's accomplishments and all the awards he won, and that would be Wayne Gretzky. I agree with it. 894 goals, 1,963 assists, 2,857 points. His plus 520, Ron.
I know.
That is ridiculous.
But see, that's the point I'm making, Eric. He was so good that
nobody was close.
The best players weren't. Yeah. Like Mario Lemieux was.
Yeah. So the only thing
a fourth liner compared to him.
Only knock I have, Ovechkin could pass him in goals, so I was kind of like, third. But again, four-time champ, so Stanley Cup, 9-time Hart, 5-time Bing, 10-time Ross, 5-time Pearson, 2-time Smythe, 15-time All-Star.
9-time Hart is MVPs.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
He led the league every single year.
Ridiculous.
And this is why it burns me when you get these Pittsburgh fans are saying Crosby is top 3 players of all time, and you're out of your freaking mind.
Crazy. Which means I'm down to my final 2.
And look, I thought it was going to be down to these 2, and then I looked at the numbers compared to their peers, and I had to go with Serena. And
it's so tough.
It is tough.
It's extremely tough. So number 2, Tom Brady.
Oh, I thought you were going to go Tom number 1. You're still bitter, I guess.
243 wins, 73 losses, 35-12 in the playoffs, 15-time Pro Bowler, 7-time Super Bowl champ, 5-time Super Bowl MVP, 3-time All-Pro, 3-time MVP. Amazing what he did. Here's why I picked Michael Jordan at number 1. 30.1 points a game, 6.2 rebounds, 5.3 assists. You're like, 14 All-Stars, 10 scoring titles.
Right.
Led the league in scoring 10 times. And think about this. He took a couple years off in his prime. Yeah. If he didn't go play baseball, he'd probably have 12 scoring titles.
Gretzky had more than that.
11-time All-NBA, 9-time All-Defensive player. So not only did he play offense.
Yeah, he played great
defense. He played defense.
Yeah.
6 times NBA final. NBA championship, 6-time MVP, Finals MVP. So when he got there, he was by far the best player ever, and he was the 5-time All MVP in the league. I
Yeah.
gave it to Michael Jordan. And again, to your point, it took me a good 20 minutes, and even after I did it, I talked to my wife, and she was like, "You got to move it around. It's not right."
If you look
It's
at
not
my
right.
list, it's crossed out a billion
Yeah,
times
I
because
believe it.
I originally had Tom Brady number 1
So
and Michael number 2.
yeah,
And then I kept changing and changing and changing. I still don't know.
Best pick and roll we've ever done
I just,
to date.
it's like I know we keep mentioning, the greats and how some people are saying, like LeBron is now the best, but
No way.
look, if you never saw Michael Jordan from the beginning of his career, then you have no leg to stand on.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
And it's just like all of these players,
Same thing with Gretzky and
all of these players on this list, these 6 players, I feel fortunate that I got to see their entire careers.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And I can honestly say that these players here, they all deserve to be in these 6 spots.
Agreed. Without a doubt. So that's the one thing we did get right, regardless. We got the right 6. So if you enjoy what you're watching, check us out every Friday night at 6 p.m. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter through Rhode Island Broadcasting. Follow us on social media at Sports Unfolded on Facebook and Twitter, at Broadcasting RI on Twitter, Sports_Unfolded on Instagram. Don't have time to watch, listen to us on our podcast on Amazon, Anchor, Google, and Spotify. So many different ways to watch, listen. SEC TV, Southeast Connecticut, Public Access Channel 12, 10 p.m. on Tuesdays. Rebroadcast of this show. Like what you see, check us out on Friday nights. We are fan interactive. We love fans chiming in. Dan's been amazing tonight. If you'd like to sponsor the show, check us out, Rhode Island Broadcasting.media at gmail.com. Get all your details. Less than a cup of coffee from Starbucks. So you can get your name, your business name spread throughout the internet. Check us out, sponsor us, gives us an opportunity to do even more with Sports Unfolded as we continue to grow.
I hope Starbucks gets on this.
Starbucks should be
because we've done so much advertising for them.
For Starbucks. And we're also now on Jibber Jabber, and that's JJBBER Jabber. And it is a new social media site that's starting. They are brand new in their infant stages, but check it out and follow us there as well. So really excited about that endeavor with them. So, Ron, it's prediction time, my friend. Our favorite
yes,
time.
It is.
There it is. We are neck and neck.
Yes, we are.
I ended up taking a slight lead this week. Dan's even on there at 4-3 with some of his picks. So if he gives us some more today, we can update that. Kenny finally got out of he won both NFL games. Jeremy decided after the Titans loss he was done. But continue to chime in if you're watching us, and you could definitely be on this list. So let's start off with the NBA, and we have the Philadelphia 76ers at the Chicago Bulls, and that's on February 6th.
That should be a really good game.
Should be.
I'm going to go with Chicago at home.
I was doing the same thing. I think Chicago at home. I did win last week, 1-0, by the way. But Chicago at home. I'm going with Chicago. On February 9th, you got the Golden State Warriors at the Utah Jazz.
I believe I'm 2-2 now with Golden State.
Warriors. You're not supposed to do Warriors anymore.
Yeah, but I'm now 2-2 with them.
All right.
I'm going to go Golden State.
All right. So far we're 2 for 2. We're agreeing. I'm agreeing with you, Golden State. On February 7th, the Carolina Hurricanes at the Toronto Maple Leafs.
That's a tough one because Toronto plays very well at home. I'm going to go with Toronto.
All right, we got it different. I'm going Carolina. I still think they're the better team.
I think so
And
too.
my
but
hockey guy told me defense, Carolina's offense much better than Toronto's defense. So
It is.
on February 8th, the Pittsburgh Penguins at the Boston Bruins. You had to throw a bees in there for you, buddy.
How come Dan isn't making any predictions here?
Dan hasn't chimed in.
I am going Boston.
Me too, my friend. I think lately they've been playing better than Pittsburgh, and I like the Bruins.
Not really, but
give me.
I think it's going to be a long layoff, and
Tuca's going to be a lot of practice now. Be the old Tuca.
He's not going to be dressed for that game.
No.
Nope.
Okay.
It's going to be Swayman.
Okay.
Or Olmont.
NCAA basketball. Number 17 Yukon Huskies at number 12 Villanova Wildcats.
I'm going Villanova.
I'm going to believe in my Huskies here in Connecticut.
Yeah, you can do that.
So I am hoping, if not, we'll be tied probably, because I'm going to win the Carolina Hurricanes one.
No, you're not.
So what we normally do to end our show, we do our final thought, and our final thought isn't necessarily anything sports related. It could be about anything going on in the world today. Ron, you are up first tonight, my friend. So your final thought.
Okay, so apparently an incident happened in a college basketball game. Don't remember the guy's name, Ebiet or something like that, or whatever his name is. But that's not the important factor. Apparently the player, while leaving, spit on a fan.
Yeah.
Okay. He got arrested.
Yes.
And he is charged with assault. And I believe that to be the right thing to do, because bodily fluids, you could give somebody something, and you don't want that. So that's not a good thing. Okay, now the point I want to drive across is, once this can of worms opens, you now have to follow through all the time with this kind of thing. And it is vice versa. It can't just be the players.
The fans as well. Hold some accountability to
it. The fans have to be held accountable. And that is probably even the bigger problem. So remember, this is a can of worms you're opening. And now you're going to have to deal with this forever now. Yeah. Because you have to follow through on all of it.
Agreed.
And this could create lots of problems down the road. It could create problems with, collective bargaining agreements. So then you're going to have players spending time in jail for spitting at fans, or, so there's going to be a lot of repercussions with this. And I just hope they all know what they're doing.
No, agreed.
That's all I can say.
Listen, at the end of the day, if a fan did it to a player, we'd be crucifying the fan. It doesn't, regardless, the player shouldn't be doing it to a fan. I've kind of liked lately, like even with the Carmelo Anthony situation, there was a fan just heckling him. He got a little upset about it. He went over. He didn't physically do anything, but then he pointed at the guy, and they threw the fan out. Like, it doesn't excuse them saying things either to the player. So, listen, at the end of the day, I agree. That was a great point. I'm glad you brought it up.
And I do have to mention that the Olympics is begun. Yeah. It has begun. The opening ceremonies have already started. Yeah. So it's already done. No. So I'm going to be watching a lot of Olympics.
Awesome. And the NBA All-Star and the NHL All-Star. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. So my final thought is actually about Robert Wickens. And I believe he's a testament to resiliency. After he raced in a 4-hour BMW M Endurance Challenge in Daytona. And you ask, why is this such a big deal? Wickens had been paralyzed 3 years ago in a car crash in the Poconos that left him unable to walk. So they designed a specially designed car that actually he could use from the steering wheels, and was able to complete this race and actually got on this stage. I think he finished in the top 3. And it's just an amazing story about the courage and the strength to continue to show that, listen, at the end of the day, things happen in life, and we need to figure a way to get through them. And here's an individual I could have very easily said, you know what, I can't do this anymore. And he said, no, I'm going to find a way to do it. And he did. So what a great story. NASCAR should be really talking this up because to me, it just goes to show that these drivers, as much as we can sit there and say, oh, all they do is drive a car, that's 4 hours. And that wasn't an easy thing to do, especially paralyzed. And he did it. And it's just a tremendous feat. And I think Robert Wickens, what a great story that was. And I was glad I got to see it and read about it. So that's my final thought. Ron, it's been a great show.
Just to ask.
Sure.
When it comes to horse racing, who's the athlete, the horse or the jockey?
Both. I think that the jockey's more the strategic, figure out when he's got to push and not push. The horse obviously is the athletic piece of it, but the training piece goes into it as well. So I think it's a combination of both.
I was just curious because, obviously, a car is not enough athlete, but,
Yeah. No, agreed.
I was just curious at the translation.
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying. So I want to thank you. What a great show tonight. A lot we went over. Some controversial stuff that obviously we could have really covered in depth, but we want to make sure we got through everything. Ron, I appreciate your time tonight. Dan, thank you for chiming in. I got your 2 picks there, Villanova and the Bruins. So greatly appreciated that. But Ron, what a great show. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Widespread Allegations was tonight's episode. Episode 5, season 2. Next week's show, it's a big one. It's a milestone for Sports Unfolded. Technically, episode 52, even though it'll be season 2, episode 6. 52, which means we've done 1 full year of shows, and I couldn't ask for a better co-host.
Yeah, it's like I was just looking at that. Rhode Island Broadcasting turned a year like a week ago.
Isn't that crazy? So yeah, we've been there for the whole ride.
So it's been a joy the first year, and we have so much more coming.
So much.
And,
can't wait.
March Madness.
March Madness.
Brackets. Everybody's going to be able to.
Sports Unfolded. March Madness. So we're going to be fun. Can't wait.
Wait till our brackets come out.
All right. So, my friend, we'll see you next week, next Friday. Waiting for the Monday NHL rankings, Kenny's NBA rankings, and we'll make sure we'll do some shows for it. So, Ron, I'll see you on Monday or Tuesday. Fans out there, we'll see you next Friday as well. Make sure you tune in. Check out Sports Unfolded. Peace.
Take care.